Everybody get a cup of coffee. Everybody get a cup of coffee and just calm down. Are you serious? But apocalyptic floods are happening all over the planet now. And Heidi and I were just sitting there watching a tornado that hit in, is that Barrie, Ontario, Canada? It hit 5 days ago. Nobody even heard anything about it, but the footage was there from the people actually going through the tornado. We're finding out now that just like a lot of news is being hidden we've been noticing that from the Middle East for at least 5-6 years, how they've suppressed news that comes out of Israel or the Holy Land, only let you know what they want you to know. Now we see that it's the same thing with the people dying during this. All these strange things have been happening with the jabs and stuff. But here we are now looking at, they're hiding the weather. They're literally hiding the reports that are taking place now on weather. Remember all the dead birds, dead fish, dead cows when it first started happening? I was the first guy on the blocks sharing it from the Bible. Boy, CNN interviewed me and Time Magazine, and it was all over the news, and everybody was running around, and this preacher says it's the end of the world. They never talk about any of them. And dead birds, dead fish, dead cows are everywhere. They haven't slowed down. They've increased. Yet the media ignores it. Only the local media of where it happens covers the story, and that's it. It never goes national. Same thing now with the floods. Now, Mike Around the World told us that soon you're going to see of increased flooding everywhere. And that's exactly what's happening. And let me share some of that with you in just a second. Guys, noblegoldinvestment.com. That's www.noblegoldinvestment.com. It's time to pick up the phone right now and call Colin Plume or one of his associates at 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347. And let him help you set up a gold or silver IRA. And if you do, he will give you this beautiful, it is beautiful, American Eagle, 1 ounce of pure silver. This is a Liberty coin proof, and it is beautiful. He'll give this to you for free. It's 1 ounces, and a proof is even more shinier and more pure than the coins itself. But this is a coin. It is a coin. The proof is a coin. It just, he got his hands on the proofs, which is really cool. Really cool. He'll give this to you for free if you set up a gold IRA at noblegoldinvestment.com. All right. In Kentucky, the birds are dropping all over. You're right, Patricia. They really are. And some of you may be in different locations of the world, and you yourself know it's true. You're hearing of dead birds, dead fish. There was 9,000 tons of dead fish in St. Petersburg, Florida last week. It never made the national media. There was a red tide, fish dying, unbelievable. But they don't want to talk about these events that are happening. They only want to talk about carbon footprints. They only want to talk about carbon footprints. They don't want to talk about the catastrophic events happening, the poles shifting, the water turning blood red, the birds falling out of the sky, the fish, all these things that are happening. They are hiding this information because it matches biblical prophecy. And that's why I was on the Jim Baker show Thursday talking to Jim Baker about this, Pastor Jim Baker. And I was saying to him, look, it's happening everywhere. Matthew 24 and Isaiah 24 mirror each other when it comes to the catastrophes, the catastrophic, cataclysmic events that's coming upon the earth. It's also in Mark 13, Luke 21. It's also 2 Peter chapter 3, and of course the book of Revelation. Okay, and we're reading about the oracles of Isaiah in Isaiah 24 of the catastrophic apocalypse coming upon the planet. Now, let me tell you what's happening right now. We do have some information coming at us, and that is apocalyptic flooding. It's not just in Germany and Belgium, where almost 200 people have died, but actually it seems that these biblical floods are increasing around the world and are becoming a new normal, which is what Mike from Around the World said we would be seeing. Here's the latest worldwide reports. 2 large dams in northern China collapsed. The waters of the corresponding reservoirs flooding nearby towns. Insane. There's video that shows water overtopping one of the dams, and minutes later, the entire dam is washed away, and the damage is catastrophic. It also crashed into Mongolia, okay, from the dam. These 2 dams failed on, when did it happen? Sunday afternoon, after a torrential downpour saw 87 millimeters of rainfall in the area over the weekend, and 223 millimeters at a nearby monitoring station. An aluminum factory explosion during a severe flooding in the same area there in China. The explosion occurred at a factory in central China with loud noises and flames. Local emergency management staff have rushed to the scene. No reports of casualties so far, but it's still too early to tell. But the pictures are horrific. Dramatic footage from central China reported captured the moment that the aluminum alloy plant exploded in a giant fireball after severe flooding in the region caused a dam to give. So you have fire and water at the same time. Now, in New Zealand, they've declared a state of emergency after heavy downpours. Hundreds of people evacuated from their homes after severe flooding in New Zealand, and that was 3 days ago. Also, a rainy fury kills 33 people, hits the road, tears the roads out, wipes out the literally the railroad tracks, stifles air traffic in Mumbai, India. At least 33 people are dead. Many more are missing, killed in different incidences in Mumbai due to the massive rain and that hit, wiping out roads, railroad tracks, stifling air traffic, and just setting up an absolute state of chaos. And I've been looking at that, and I've been to Mumbai, India. I can tell you there's so many people live there. I mean, there's millions and millions and millions. Most of them, they're on foot or on scooters or bikes. How in the world they can't get out of where they're at because they don't even have transportation. They don't have boats and stuff like that you see. Like the Cajun Navy's not going to show up there, and it's just it's a catastrophe. But wait, there's more, because in Europe, the flooding that's heading to the east, it's now in Hungary and Poland and Romania, and we already know that nearly 200 people died in Germany and Belgium, and it's in massive hailstorms falling like you wouldn't believe. Also, massive rain in Nigeria. Several vehicles submerged underwater as flooding, landslides, incredible rainstorms, like apocalyptic in nature. 6 people are dead, 2 people are missing. It's insane what's happening there. And in Iran, more massive flooding, incredible, as the Arabian desert covered with rivers, flooding in Iran. Who ever heard of the Arabian desert filled with flooding rivers flowing? Relief and rescue forces have worked tirelessly. They've rescued 737 victims, according to the emergency management there. And also, they also have been able to give 194 of those victims a place to stay in the shelters. Thousands of people have been affected. Homes have been wiped out. And then in the Netherlands, ravaged by floods, also going on there. Heavy rains have triggered major flooding across parts of the Netherlands, with southern Limburg province declared a natural disaster area and a state of emergency as firefighters and even soldiers help thousands of residents to try to find shelter in the Netherlands. Unbelievable. It's just insane what's happening there. And then there's catastrophic flooding in Austria, not Australia, Austria. Strong rainstorms, local floods in settlements across Austria, cars submerged, raging rivers flowing through the streets with mud, and people. We still don't know how many people are dead there. We don't have the reports, as that's just now still a very fluid situation. And then there's 4 people dead. Dozens have been rescued so far in Oman, in the Middle East, as emergency crews are being sent in from the massive flooding that's taking place in Oman in the last 48 hours, the last 2 days. Incredible floods, raging waters, and torrential rains. Even in Flagstaff, Arizona. What? Monsoon storm come out of nowhere with heavy rain, rain bombs, cloud burst, and torrential flooding in Flagstaff, Arizona. Who ever heard of such a thing? But it was 2 consecutive days in a row with flash flooding and massive heavy rain in Flagstaff. And then Japan, in Asuka, Japan, thunderstorm with rain, lightning, dangerous lightning strikes, incredible storms. And there's a typhoon headed right now for Okinawa, Japan, where my son and his wife and 2 of my granddaughters are at right now. But I'm praying. They've battened down the hatch. We're waiting to hear from them. And hopefully it'll be okay. Also, Moscow in Russia, the airport washed out as biblical rains hit the Russian capital on last Thursday. After weeks of sweltering heat, Moscow saw strong winds, a deluge of rain that has caused a disruption across the entire city, with the weather delaying flights and damaging property in Russia. And also, until now, the Russian capital has been experiencing record-breaking heat wave, now record-breaking rain, back to back. Does that make sense? Health officials have issued hazardous warnings for the situation, and people are being rescued out of Moscow. And then Turkey, 6 people are dead, buses underwater, roads washed out, bridges torn down, flooding, landslides triggered by insane rains have hit Turkey's Black Sea region. Insanity has taken place there following heavy downpours that hit the northeastern province of Rise. This was 5 days ago, wreaked havoc in some areas, tearing apart chunks of soil from the hills and rocks and debris piling up on streets and inundating by the flood waters. And then Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan, and I'm saying that wrong. That might be a phonetic. No, the phonetic phenomenon. I might have. When you hear Paul say, hear Pastor Paul say Kyrgyzstan is Zipistan, it might be a phonetic phenomenon, okay, that you're experiencing. Don't change the channel. Floods, mudslides have caused heavy rains. 15 people are dead. Houses are being swept away. Villages are being covered over in biblical floods and rains off the charts. And of course, just a week and a half or so ago, we know that massive flooding in Kansas City. About 2 weeks ago, incredible flooding in Detroit. And we're hearing of flooding in other parts of the United States. What is going on? Now, God said he would not destroy the world with water. Never again. He won't destroy the planet with water. But he's going to destroy it with fire. And I really believe that happens after the millennial reign. And if you study the scriptures, it pretty well tells you that, because you got to have a millennial reign first. You don't destroy the planet and then try to have one, because you can't. So there's got to be a millennial reign, according to Zechariah. It tells you that. Book of Revelation tells you that. But at the same time, God still ends up cleansing his creation by really just completely destroying the earth and creating a new heaven and a new earth wherein will dwell righteousness. We know that eventually is coming. But in the meantime, and you can read that for yourself in 2 Peter chapter 3. But the floods are here. They're not to destroy the earth, but they certainly are signs of the last days. the sea and the waves will be roaring, and men's hearts will fail them for fear, for looking after those things coming upon the earth, for the power of heaven shall be shaken. I want to welcome all 1,153 of you. And as I'm going to be bringing you more unbelievable biblical prophetic events taking place around the globe today, I want you to stay tuned to this channel. If you're not saved, it's highly important you get right with God. Now, this Sunday, I'll be preaching. I'm in Washington, D.C. right now, but this Sunday, I'll be preaching at the tent, at the big tent in the Villages at Freedom Fellowship. You definitely don't want to miss that. You need to drive in from everywhere and be a part of a mighty move of God that's going on in the Villages. It is a breakout of biblical proportion. It is the former and latter rain. The anointing that is falling there is incredible. People are coming to Christ. And I tell you, we had 5 people saved there 2 weeks ago when I was there. And there was probably some more last Sunday. I don't know. I know this last Sunday, the Saturday, I baptized 4 people on Saturday, and I baptized 3 people on Sunday. And Kevin Wilson was with me all weekend. We had an unbelievable time in the Lord. I think that what you're seeing, guys, is what I've been telling you. It's the beginning. It's the end time revival, the outpouring. And so it was last week when we were in Little Rock, Arkansas, talking to Pastor Happy Caldwell and his wife. They talked about the old days of the tent revivals. He told me a story that I think is, nobody knows this story. I don't think they should, but it's been so long ago, it's hard to even fathom this story. But I'm going to share it with you just for a minute. It happened in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, probably in the 1930s or 40s, somewhere in there, maybe late 1930s, early 1940s. And he said that Dr. Lester Sumrall's mother was a powerful evangelist, a powerful preacher. And she would go around into different towns and would begin preaching with another sister in the Lord. The 2 of them would tag team, and they would go into different towns and preach on the streets or in buildings they could rent or somebody would let them use. But this one time she went into Baton Rouge, and in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, there was an empty lot. And so the Lord spoke to her and said, I want you to hold a revival right here in this empty lot, right here. Nothing there, just an empty lot, one tree. And so they went in there and they got underneath the tree and started preaching. People started gathering around, and they started saying, and they were preaching the gospel. And she said, the Lord said, right here is going to be a mighty revival. So we're here. Well, a man was sitting in his car across the road from the 2 women preaching out there. And he said, what in the world are those women doing? He got up out of his car and he walked across the street to hear what they were saying. And he heard Mrs. Sumrall, Dr. Lester Sumrall's mother, preaching under the fire and the power of God. When she was done with the sermon, he walked up and said, what are you ladies doing? And they said, well, we're here to preach a revival right here on this lot, God has said. And he said, really? Well, then you're going to need a tent. So he left, and he knew right where a tent was. And he went and he bought the tent, had it brought back, and had men put it up. Chairs were brought in. And so for the next 6 weeks or so, these women preached every night under the tent in that lot. Well, this man wasn't done with what God wanted him to do. He knew of a family that he was close personal friends of, that the Lord said, go and invite that family to this tent revival. And so, and you have to understand something. Mrs. Sumrall was not well known. Dr. Lester Sumrall was just a boy. This isn't like they strolled in and everybody knew who she was and they all started coming. This was 2 women that nobody had a clue they were. But people started coming to this tent revival. People were getting saved. People were getting healed. Well, he went and met with this family. This family were the Swaggart family. Jimmy Swaggart's mom and dad and all the kids. And Jimmy Swaggart's parents were not saved. They all, because this man invited them and told them how important it was, the Swaggart family all went to the tent revival in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to hear Dr. Lester Sumrall's mother preach underneath the tent. And after a few nights, the Swaggart family all came to Christ. They all came forward. They all accepted Jesus Christ as their Savior. Mom, dad, and all the kids. And of course, we know from there, Jimmy Swaggart then at one point became the most listened to and the greatest evangelist on the earth for a period of time there. But it started because Dr. Lester Sumrall's mother was holding a tent revival in Baton Rouge. This is incredible information. This shows you that when you look at, when you watch what people are doing and what God is doing, never underestimate small beginnings. Never think you have this thing figured out. God is so far ahead of all of us. And as the water is raging, and as the storms are roaring, and as the monsoons are intensifying, and as things are getting more intense, give your life to Jesus Christ. Do not wait. Do not wait. Time is running out. I'll see you guys a little bit later. Live from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. God bless all of you. Are you serious?